Petra Poorova is the lead fashion designer and design and development of FashionBar Chicago. At FashionBar, Petra leads all garment creation processes from custom designs to ready-to-wear and small quantity manufacturing. Originally from Slovakia, Petra graduated from the Academy of Fine Arts and Design in Bratislava in 2004 and completed her master's degree in the field of fashion design. In 2005, Petra founded Petra Poorova Fashion Studio, where she focused on the design and execution of couture dresses, seasonal ready-to-wear clothing, and custom designs for theater, advertisements, and music clips. Petra has designed clothes, garments, and textile accessories for a number of big companies and clients, from Kia Motors Slovakia to TV news anchor Lucia Barmushova. Petra has also participated in fashion exhibits and shows in Austria, Germany, China, France, and more. Today we're going to sit down with Petra and learn a little bit more about design and development in the fashion industry. So Petra, tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional experience.
So hello. So I would say that I have like a 20 years experience, and I made big amount of clothes. Like I was focusing most like custom clothes on the start of my fashion designer career. When I finished Academy of Fine Arts and Design, I was right away in the design and development department, hired for a very big known, like popular fashion brand. It's known also in USA, not only in Europe. So it was very hard. I was placed, and from this experience with the fashion big Godzilla brand, I gained all kinds of experience. But after time, it was like a production and sample making. I wanted to grow more and do something more creative. So I opened my own company and started to create custom clothes for people. And I wanted to be more with contact with with one customer and be more creative.
Yeah, makes sense. So what influenced your decision to move to Chicago?
So I was already 36 years, and in Slovakia I reached the highest point what I could reach. I was working for TV, for popular Slovakian people, for music industry, and I didn't want to still do custom clothes. And I wanted to finally working for some fashion company, for some where I could be the lead designer, and where I would not be responsible for everything, but just could be creative. Because in my 20 years like work experience, the most part I was independent designer. And I was the designer, I was the assistant, I was the seamstress, I was the director. And then when I had more money, I had like a seamstresses who were helping me, or fashion factories. So I wanted finally just be creative and focusing in the company and like creating wearable products for people and make people happy.
How did you get into garment creation?
It's a cliche. It's the general, like every little girl wants to be a fashion designer, and my grandma like taught me like how to crochet and how to hand sewing already from childhood. So when I was 13, I already had my first sewing machine. And there was just one school in whole Slovakia where you could study fashion design already on high school, because we are a very small country. So I tried to like prepare myself for a long time just to be there. And when I started to study fashion design, I realized that it's not so easy, like, just to create the garment. And I was like, after all failures, I then decided like, yeah, it's not easy to be a fashion designer and creating garments, but this is the only way. How can I imagine my life to do something?
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it sounds like you've wanted to do this ever since you were little.
Yeah, ever since I was little, because I was influenced from my grandma, and then when I was a teenager, I was not creating clothes for myself, but for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was my muse. So, and I created for her the dresses, and from this it started like, oh, I can like do it like a custom. I can make it fit for a person.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I needed to be first skilled and learn the techniques. So the high school was preparing me for the technical part, and then in Slovakia, if you want to have a higher education, we are a very small country, so we don't need so many fashion designers, and before we had a lot of fashion companies, and they just needed one designer, so per year they could hire just 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to prepare myself for the college, and after I was finally able to study there, so I knew that yes, I want to do I want to do garments, I want to work for people, but then we were placed in like a fashion factories, like interns.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience was like I need to be really the best one that I can work for myself, because the work is not so easy.
Mm-hmm. So why did you decide to start your own company and fashion brand?
Well, from the experience from the very popular world-known fashion company, I experienced there like the hard reality about fast fashion and production,
Mm-hmm.
and how to save money on the workers, and not so many ethical experience and places where the ladies were working. So from that reason, I opened my little fashion brand, where I knew that it will be made in Slovakia, that I knew how it's made, from what is it made,
Mm-hmm.
and that when I create some job opportunity for some sewing ladies, that they will be from Slovakia, and that they will be proud of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we finish the product.
Yeah, that's great. How did you get started with FashionBar?
I was already like 2 years in Chicago. I came here just to improve my English, and I had a dream that I would like to one day like live in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And like sell my fashion brand. And I was kind of lost. Because here it was also divided, and finally I found like possibility to sign up for Fashion Week, and I was really fast accepted. I met Mr. Long, and he said, "Girl, you're in." I needed to show him my clothes and something from my portfolio, so I had then with FashionBar, like with Fashion Week. I was on the first Fashion Week on April 2018, and after that, like Mr. Long was excited from my execution of my collection, and also the people who attend Fashion Week were very excited, and maybe that also influenced Mr. Long to give to me some chance. But first we needed to like figure it out, from the reason that I am a foreigner, how to make it all work. So we started to communicate with Tony, and we were doing a lot of plannings, and this was like my first start with FashionBar.
So you've been here, what, 2 years?
No, I'm here almost 5 years.
Oh.
Because the preparation for the visa was very hard.
Okay.
I needed to prove that I am so good, that America needs me, that I am so talented. So
We do need you.
and that I can cover with my experience in Chicago area, and help the local designers, and through FashionBar
Mhm.
somehow like fulfill the mission of FashionBar.
Yep. Yep. So if you had to pick just one, what previous work experience do you think has been the most influential on your career path, and why?
Like in general, work with people is a very good experience, and like the most biggest project what I was working was for theater, and for like for the TV anchors, and it was like very challenging experience because they wanted from me like also 80 garments
Wow.
in 20 weeks. And
Oh my gosh.
I was working with one like costume designer.
Mhm.
She did the designs, and she said like from Bratislava there is nobody who will do it, but I know Petra you will do it. And I needed to create also like a screen printing like creation, because the girl wanted, the lady, the costume designer, she wanted to have prints on the skirts which I was creating for her, and she had not the technical experience. That's why she like wanted to like collaborate with me. So I needed to first print part of the garments, and after that I was like, with the help of seamstresses, we were putting the garments together. So it was like, but in 20 days 80 outfits, it was like a big challenge.
But you did it?
Yeah, we did
Oh
that.
my goodness.
And but it was for like a big like theater performance which represents Slovakia all over the world.
Mhm.
So it was like big challenge, but it was worth to
Mhm.
do it.
Definitely.
And then another like huge experience was when I was creating like 11 pounds dress with 11 pounds of pearls. I was creating like a half a year because I was proud, because they invited me to represent my clothes in one really like prestigious Slovakian gallery, like active fashion designer. So, and when I created it, my garment was the best from all, and it was making all the others in shade. So they decided not using my garment, and I needed to replace the garment. And I was really disappointed and sad because I was half year, every year after my work, what I was doing for clients, I was working on this project. So, but the good experience from all is that after one of my friends who was helping me a lot with working with clients and doing PR for me, she invited me for a meeting with one of the best Slovakian TV anchor, and she said like she would like to have the dress, but she was very tiny.
Mhm.
And the dress was like medium because of the mannequins. So I needed to recreate a whole dress for her for like the biggest Slovakian TV event.
Mhm.
So in general I was working on the dress like 1 year, but after she was wearing the dress, like my life totally changed because I was published everywhere.
That's
because
crazy.
it was like very very like exclusive high fashion dress, and it was to see on the dress.
Mhm.
So it opened me totally new like possibilities in Slovakia, and I gained so much customers
Mhm.
just from this one showing in TV that she was wearing the dress.
So making that dress took a year?
Around a year. Yeah.
Wow. Is that like the
Around like 6-7 hours at night after work.
Oh my gosh. Is that like normal for your projects? What is like the average that it takes to complete a project, or like what's the longest project that you've worked on?
The longest project what I was working on, this was probably this dress, but all like evening dresses and like these high fashion garments, they took a lot of time. and it's not like in a factory that the lady finish one garment in 15 minutes. So yeah, all what is with custom clothes is a little bit more challenging than working in like a fashion factory.
Yeah, like I guess I had thought that, you know, designing something and creating a garment had taken a while. I just didn't realize how long it actually takes. That's crazy.
Yeah, because everybody thinks like you just sit on by that fashion designer is just making drawings, and then there are some seamsters, they put it together, but there is like a whole process, like from creating the pattern still you make the marks on the pattern, and then when you do it for like a custom, then you just communicate with seamsters. But when you work for like the fashion companies and some fashion factories, you need to prepare whole documentation for them that they can create then the garments, and then like they are doing fittings and improving the details.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. So what are some things that FashionBar's design and development team are currently working on?
Currently is working FashionBar on collection of 12 high fashion garments for Wilmer Gariano. It's the current client from FashionBar. Also, FashionBar is working on this project like with third party, but also can do it in-house. But just to expand and make the customer like satisfy his needs. Sometimes FashionBar is working with companies out of in-house. Then we are currently working on fashion labels and fashion logos for local fashion designers and fashion companies. Also on the web pages for fashion designers. Like there are parallel projects going on.
Yeah,
right
always.
Now.
And so we kind of touched on fast fashion already, but in recent years we have seen a huge boom of fast fashion. And fast fashion describes cheap, stylish, mass-produced clothing that appeals to shoppers because they are trendy and really affordable. Fast fashion is not made to last. These clothes are quickly discarded, which causes environmental concerns, but there's also ethical concerns because workers are usually employed for long hours in unsafe conditions for little pay. And fast fashion, while it is accessible and affordable, it's also linked to textile waste, high CO2 emissions, water pollution, and unsafe labor conditions. A lot of fast fashion brands steal designs from designers without giving credit to the original look, which I think can be really discouraging for new fashion designers. So Petra, as a fashion designer, what kind of experience have you had with fast fashion?
So I had experience with fast fashion already when I was in college. I was intern in one Slovakian fashion brand, and it was on this time not so extremely like is it right now, but for me it was extreme because on a high school we needed to have like experience that we were two months working in fashion factory. But it was very ethical on that time. We were also working with people who are deaf, and the conditions were really good, but we were like transferring from one political system to different, and we wanted to then when I was intern in college, we wanted to cope the capitalism system and do it all fast and cheap. So I was working for a company who was doing part of the production in Slovakia, part of the production in Denmark, and part of the production in China.
Wow.
The fabrics were from Denmark. In Slovakia, we were cutting the fabrics and making like the first samples, and the hardest part of the collection, which requires more detailed work. But then the basic part of the collection, like skirts, t-shirts, they were sent to China, and then they were doing like the fastest, how they could do it, like the fastest process was made in China, and the cheapest. So they still wanted from us, because I was there on the creative and design and development department, they wanted to have the newest patterns, the new, like trendy. So they were going to Denmark and just bought all in shops, and then they came and they wanted from us that we copy the patterns. So this was something like I was so disappointed from that, because in school I was in Academy of Fine Arts and Design. I was supposed to be creative and created own stuff, and they said like, no, we don't have time. We need to every 3 weeks create some new trendy clothes, and like this was stressful for us just to be still creative and copy someone else designs just to be in the trend.
And so here in the US, fashion brands can steal designs, straight off of the catwalk or from any designer, because there are no copyright laws for fashion. Is that different in Slovakia?
Yeah, very different. Like I think I would say like USA is kind of like it here is kind of anarchy. When I compared it with the Europe in general, just when I speak about myself, I have registered brand. Like the label. So, and if I would want to just to sell my clothes, every like a fashion company has everything registered, and they just like with eagle eye looking who is copying, because when somebody's copy this stuff, they can make a lot of money because everything is registered, everything has own patent.
Yeah,
they have patent for the prints, just of the fabrics, then of the patterns. Like it's very easy to make a lot of money by stealing.
Yeah,
when somebody is stealing your patterns.
It's interesting how the U.S. doesn't have any laws or copyright laws for designs.
Yeah,
but other countries do.
Yeah, and it's also divided that I have a registered brand for Slovakia, for Czech Republic. For each country you have like a registration. So it's not so easy to copy in Europe.
Yeah.
Also, like with social media, with everything, like it's now really you need to be in Europe really like taking care for have everything registered.
So speaking a little bit more about fast fashion, do you think that it's a responsibility of companies, consumers, or both to be sustainable in the fashion industry?
Yeah, I think it's from both sides, like also the companies, also consumers, like the fashion companies. Like I would say that they should produce less and visibly use the fabrics, using more, that they could use more recyclable fabrics, and also like better investing more money for the workers to make their salaries a little bit higher. Then they will have like a better quality of the work when the workers will be happy. And also like I had experience like the people they work in such a crazy condition. I would just say like less production and more invest in the equipment and like protect the workers, and then you will have like better quality of clothes. And also like the companies, they are creating now the garments that every 2 weeks they change the trend, so the people buy stuff. So and you are then in need, you need that, but actually you don't need that. If you would just focus on more like timeless clothes, on basics, and would change like making your like closet, changing clothes every year, not every 2 weeks, because you are so spoiled right now because you can buy for so cheap so much stuff, and it doesn't help nobody in the future, because if it will go like this, then I don't know in the future how also the still new companies survive.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point that, it is up to companies to be ethical in how they treat their workers, how they source their materials, but consumers can choose not to shop at places if they don't agree with their business practices. And I think that people do need to be a little bit more conscious about not only how much we're consuming, but how much are we consuming, and do we need to buy all that clothing? I'm guilty of this. I have a whole bin of tank tops, and do I need a whole bin of tank tops?
Yeah.
No, but I think that people can just be a little bit more conscious about their own decisions that they're making too when it comes to fashion.
Yeah, like this pandemic, it was like a really good experience, I think, for everybody. That they should produce less and do it all visually, because the companies, they are dependent from the consumers, and when now they cannot go out and buy stuff,
right.
So the company will need to change their strategy, how they will work it, how they will produce clothes in the future, because the world will be after this pandemic totally changed.
Something that's kind of interesting that I saw is there's this fast fashion brand, Shein. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's always been only online. But within the past few months, they opened up a real store in California, I think, which was just a fast fashion brand that was online. But during the pandemic, they somehow were creating so much money, got so much money that they were able to open an actual brick and mortar store.
Maybe they just exactly use the strategy that the people who are not afraid go out.
Yeah.
They were few who were open.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. So closing off, Petra, do you have any advice for young fashion designers looking to break into the industry?
I would say that they should supposed to be still consistent, and when they decide to be the fashion designer, that they should educate themselves and learn as much as possible techniques, not just be an artist and make sketches, but make all kinds of variable experience that they can cover the bright possibilities in fashion, and that each failure just push you through new experience and show you the way which you're supposed to go, that each failure is just something what gave you experience and push you to new ways and new better ways how you can be the best fashion designer, and just never give up just because these tenants still working on their dreams.
Yeah, always. Well, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.